بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رسول الكريم على سيدنا آله وسلم تسليما ولا تفتح لنا بها أبواب الرضا والتيسير تغلق بها أبواب الشر والتيسير أنت مولانا نعم المولى ونعم النصير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How is everybody? Good. I'm just your brother passing by from England. Going to share with you inshallah some of the work that I've been doing in my clinic in England, hoping inshallah that it will bring benefit to your life and to your family's life inshallah. Just a couple of things before I start. Firstly, it's incredibly embarrassing talking in front of Hadith. Our teachers used to say to us, "Amam al-abna al-dunya, yani ahl al-dunya, sahib al-mal, khudh aynayk." In front of the people of dunya, lower your gaze. Why? So that your heart isn't inclined towards dunya. And then they used to say to us, "Amam al-ulama, khudh lisanak." In front of the ulama, hold your tongue, so you don't make a fool out of yourself. وَلَا تَعْرِفَنَّهُمْ فِي لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ. And then أمام الأولياء, in front of the awliya, خُذْ قَلْبَكَ, hold your heart. Why? In Imam al-Nawawi's 40 hadith, he mentions a frightening hadith, that whoever مَنْ أَذَى لِي وَلِيًّا فَقَدْ أَذَنْتُ بِالْحَرْبِ, whoever has any, gives beef to any of my awliya, and Allah declares war. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me for speaking in front of such a great personality. Second thing I want to say, I won't take long, I promise, but the second thing I want to say is that I'm warning you, you're going to be offended with some of the things that I'm going to say. Okay? So apologies in advance. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the month of Ramadan, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. The sole purpose, the fast to the nearest meaning, all believers, fasting has been prescribed for you and the people before you for one reason and one reason only, so that you can enter the zone of taqwa. What's taqwa? Remember, our definitions of life come from Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and nobody else. And then it was further defined and elaborated and established by who? Sahaba, cream of humanity, the best after the Anbiya. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu wa radha, Sayyiduna Ibn Abbas used to say, what's taqwa? You say taqwa is to obey Allah and not disobey Allah. Taqwa is to remember Allah and never forget Allah. Taqwa is to be in a state of gratitude and never be in a state of ingratitude, with khashya and hayba, fear and awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that what incorporates taqwa. And guess what? It's got nothing to do with food. Okay? It's got nothing to do with food. Okay? So that's the purpose of Ramadan. Now what underpins all of this? One element that humanity has undersold is the concept of self-discipline. In our culture, when we think of discipline, what do we think about? It's that word, what comes to your mind? Usually it's that's discipline, right? But self-discipline underpins all of this. Why am I saying this to you? Because I don't know anybody who's achieved greatness in any sphere of their life that they want to achieve greatness, whether it's with their career, whether it's with their finances, whether it's with their studies, whether it's with their relationships, whether it's with their religion, without this factor, this element, self-discipline. When we start to engage in self-discipline, we start seeing the benefits, we then start welcoming self-discipline. So this is what it underpins, and I want you to remember this when you leave, the concept of self-discipline, because that's essentially what taqwa is. It's vigilance, it's knowing that there's a maker, we have a maker. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, you didn't come from nothing. Impossible, even scientifically it's impossible to make sense of coming from nothing. Don't let these atheists fool you. Okay, it's a cop-out. Right? It's impossible. We have a maker, subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created us. And then there's only two things our maker wants from us. Number one, know him and engage with him. Number two, serve creation. That's Islam. That's it. And that's what taqwa is to incorporate that zone, get in that mindset. I have a Lord that's watching me. He gave me everything that I need, and one day I'm going back to him. I'm going to have to answer. Okay, that's taqwa. It's got nothing to do with food. Why am I having this conversation? The reason why I'm having this conversation with you is, what was the commonest cause of death pre-World War I, 1900s? What was the commonest cause of death? Anybody know? Hunger, starvation, and? Somebody said something. Sorry? So yeah, diseases. Okay, that was the commonest cause of death. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave humanity tawfiq, enabling grace to make antibacterials, antivirals, vaccinations, and it saved hundreds of millions of lives. There's no denying it. Okay, what's the commonest cause of death in the Western world right now? Heart disease. Somebody having a heart attack. In my country, every 8 minutes, an ambulance is called because somebody's had a heart attack, and every 10 minutes, somebody passes away. You know what it is in Canada? Every 4 minutes. You know what it is in America? Every 37 seconds. Somebody dies from having a heart attack. Those who have a heart attack, 50% of them have high blood pressure. 1 in 10 are overweight. If anybody has diabetes, you have a 2 to 3-fold increased chance of having a heart attack just by virtue of diabetes. So we're a really sick population, very sick population. In my country, do you know what's the commonest cause of death for 18 to 34-year-olds, both genders? What's the commonest cause of death in UK? Any ideas? Suicide. Allah save us. Allah save us. In England, the biggest cause of death under the age of 50 for men is suicide. In Canada, every day, 11 to 12 people die because of suicide. In the world, 700,000 people a year kill themselves because of suicide. So not only are we sick, but we're very sad. And this is a really important thing to think about, because never before in human history have human beings had so much choice. Like, you go 100 years ago, you wouldn't, if there was a masjid here, you wouldn't get tap water. The toilets used to be outside. You couldn't swipe right and get chachi chai delivered to you. You couldn't book a flight from your home going to, book my flight within a few minutes. I've booked my flight to Canada, 7 hours, I'm here. You couldn't do that. So never before in human history have we had so much wealth and choice and freedoms. But why are we so sick? Why are we so ill? And that's the question that needs to be answered. Why are we sick and why are we sad? That's the question that really needs to be answered. So what are the elements that help us reach good health? Because remember, brothers and sisters who are listening, that when your body is in good shape, when you get that right, it will show up in every single sphere of your life, including your religion. It will, inshallah. So lifestyle doctors, they say there's 5 things that you need in your life to get into your element. I'm going to add in one more, and you'll work out what it is, because we also have our tradition. So right at the top is having a nutritious diet. Nutritious diet. I'm going to break that down in a bit more detail. That's the main thing what I'm going to talk about. Number 2 is being physically active. All that means is having 150 minutes of physical activity a week, and that's it. And that equates to 21 minutes and 40 seconds a day. That's it. That's 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. That's it. If you tell me I don't have 20 minutes in my day, I will say to you, wake up 10 minutes earlier, go to sleep 10 minutes after, and you've created 20 minutes in your day. If you still say to me, I still don't have any time, I'm not doing this to show off. I'm showing you to tell you it's possible. This is my phone. Okay? I'm a very busy doctor. Okay? A family man. I do a lot of these health talks in England. I've never had a smartphone. I've never had a smartphone. And you know what? I have bags of time. Every day a human being spends 7 hours, adults spend 7 hours on their phone doing what? Nothing. Every day a child spends between 3 to 6 hours on their phone doing what? Nothing. People check their phone. People unlock their phones 150 times a day. They swipe up, down, left, right 2,000 times a day. 74% of human beings say, I am addicted to my phone. Those same 74% of people take it to the toilet. Why would you take your phone to the toilet? Ajib yani. Like this phone. I have a patient, she's 91 years old, she's a Christian. I was injecting her knee with steroids. She had arthritis in her knee. And whenever an old person comes to my clinic, I always ask them questions about life, because people who grew up without television, social media, internet, they're a different kettle of fish, as we say in England. I said to her, look, you've lived 90 years. Give me one piece of advice. She was a Christian. She ran across. Give me one piece of advice. She said, trust God. Straight away, trust God. I said, I'm having that. So as I'm injecting, I said, look, you've seen the world. What's the most significant change you've seen in the world? She said, when these phones came out, internet, smartphones, social media, she said, I was so hopeful that it would bring us together. And then she took a deep sigh. And she said, it's done nothing but separate us. Now, Hakikatan is true, isn't it? You can have 1,000 contacts on your phone, but how many would show up when you need them? You can count them on your hand. Destroying, it's really is. And what's worse, and this is another topic in itself, is you go to a church, you go to a synagogue, you go to a Buddhist temple, Sikh temple, Hindu temple, wherever you go. When they come into their what they call sacred spaces, they're not on their phones. What do we do? As soon as Imam says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, people get their phone out and they're checking their news feed their WhatsApp, their social media, their stocks and shares, their emails. You know what? Junaid Baghdadi rahimullah, he used to say, don't look at what you've gained, look at what you lost. What have you lost? Saying Subhanallah 33 times, saying Alhamdulillah 33 times, saying Allahu Akbar 33 times, then ending with La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamd, yuhyi wa yumit, wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir, making it 100. Our Habib salawatu rabbi wa salamu alayhi would say that whoever does that after every salah, or fard, all their past sins are forgiven. Can you see the loss? Imam's giving khutbah, my guy's on his phone. We're in tawaf, my guy's on his phone. We're in the Rawda, on the right hand side we've got somebody crying, reciting the Burda. On the left hand side, my guy's checking the soccer scores. Ajeeb yani. So that's another topic, you're going to get me started. That's number 2. Number 3 is mental health, another topic. The ability to control one's emotions is a ridiculously important life skill to have. And that's another topic that, you know, and the Prophet ﷺ mastered it. Like you want to see a man in true sense, physically, he floored Rukana, radiallahu anhu, who was the strongest man in Medina, in Mecca, 3 times. Psychologically, he was the most solid. That's another topic in itself. But to be able to control one's emotions and not collapse when, you know, life throws stuff, because it's going to throw stuff at you. You're going to be tested with good times and bad times. No, one reason only, go back to Allah. In both good times that you're going to come. But to be able to psychologically manage that is a skill in itself. Number 4, sleep. Having a good sleep pattern. In Ramadan, push yourself, because you should. Ramadan, nights you stay awake. Right? But outside Ramadan, a good sleep pattern to balance your hormones within your body, at least 7 hours over a 24-hour period, mainly at night. That's another topic in itself. Number 5, avoiding toxic substances. Obvious. Smoking. You know, in Canada, 14,000 people die a year because of alcohol abuse. 4,000 people a year die in this country because of opioid abuse. So avoiding smoking, alcohol, drugs, and then now vaping. 1/3 of vaping products have got stuff in there that shouldn't be in there, including cannabis and including cancer-causing agents. So what's the 6th thing? You know, lifestyle doctors say these are the 5. What's the 6th one? It's obvious, isn't it? I believe, and this is the truth, that a human being cannot be in their element unless they have a loving, living, meaningful relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the way of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's impossible to be in your, there'll be something missing. And these aren't my words. من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Whoever's a believer, male or female, and they do righteous deeds, Allah will give them a beautiful life. Allah will what? Give them a beautiful life. استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. Respond to the call of Allah so He can give you life. But the opposite applies. من أعرض عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا. Whoever turns away from the dhikr, and dhikr here is Quran. And how do you understand Quran? The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's walking, talking Quran. وَإِن تُطِيعُوهُ تَهْتَدُوا. If you follow him, who? The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you'll be guided, stamped, approved by Allah till the end of time. But whoever turns away, مَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَا. You'll have a constricted life. You can have a mansion. You can have your 3-4 cars in the driveway. You can go to your 3-4, you know, the adverts. Go on your holidays. You can have, you know, eat out, you know, chill, live as much as you want. But there will always be something missing. I have a patient, he spent £33,000. How many dollars is that? About $40,000? More? 50,000. Okay, so he spent $50,000 on a private number plate. And he's miserable as hell. Ma'ishatan danka. So you need to have that. And that's why we have our ulama and our mashayikh and our awliya, especially the awliya. Yani quickest route to Allah. Ya ayyuhalladhina, we're talking about taqwa. Ittaqullah wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Be with the people of Siddique. Quickest way to Allah. And those that are amongst you, take advantage before Allah takes them. Take advantage before Allah takes them. And remember the words of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Raipur, rahimahullah, the Shaykh of Wana Abul Hasan Nadwi, legend, rahimahullah. Nawwar Allahu marqadahu. He used to say, those that don't benefit from our silence will never benefit from our speech. So if your Shaykh is sat there quiet, bahut fayda, they're the best moments. They are the best moments. Okay? It's not necessary that they just tell you to sit, silence, bahut fayda, honestly. So let's go back to food. What's happening? A couple of problems. 60% of Western diet is ultra-processed foods, chemicalized foods, okay? 60%. And then you've got the eating out culture, which is massive, okay? And what happens is that these types of foods, the body wasn't designed to digest them and break them down. The body was designed to deal with real foods, homegrown, organic, cook it yourself, okay? It wasn't designed to digest it. But what does it get converted to after it's metabolized? Fats. That's problem number one. Problem number two is that generally our diet is rich in carbohydrates. There's three macro nutrients in foods. Protein, think fish, eggs, meat, etc. Fats, and there's good fats and bad fats, and we know what they are, okay? Then there's carbohydrates. And there's two types. There's simple, which is the white stuff, the good stuff, and then you've got complex, which is the brown and wholemeal stuff. The bulk of the Western diet is carb-based. For breakfast, you have cereal or toast. If you're in England, when you have lunch, it's either a sandwich or pasta on the go. In the evening, we're desi, what do we have? Roti, rice, aloo. Okay? Carbs, carbs, carbs. In these sort of climate, it doesn't work. India, Pakistan, it's fine because it's hot. And there's a lot of walking, there's a lot of physical activity. But in the Western world, we've lost 80% of our movement has gone since 1980 because of public transport, desks, jobs, etc., etc. So what happens is, let's just say I have a bowl of cornflakes for breakfast. I eat, and this is a normal bowl, not like a massive bowl, a normal 30-gram bowl, 1 cup. I eat it. The carbohydrate is broken down into glucose. Glucose is then released into the bloodstream. If you would, 1 bowl of Kellogg's cornflakes, after it's broken down, the carb content has got the equivalent of 8 teaspoons of sugar in there. Would you put 8 teaspoons of sugar in your cornflakes? Tabini. What about rice? This is where you're not going to like me, okay? I've warned you. Okay? 1 bowl of rice. And I don't mean our mountain plates. You know our plates, like we've not seen rice before. It's like, right? 1 small bowl of rice. Once it's eaten, digested, the glucose that's released is the equivalent of 10 teaspoons of sugar. Would you put 10 teaspoons of sugar on your rice? No. 1 slice of white bread is 4 teaspoons of sugar. Brown bread is 3. Pasta, a normal bowl, is 7 teaspoons of sugar equivalent. So this is what happens. First 30, 40 years of your life, you could probably eat whatever you want. Does it mean you eat whatever you want? You could eat whatever you want and get away with it. Get to 30, 40, you have your bowl of cornflakes in the morning. Sugar levels go up. Then what's the famous hormone that gets sugar levels down? Insulin. Goes up. Get sugar levels down by taking that glucose into cells where it needs it for energy, right? Muscle, brain, organs, right? So first 30, 40 years of life, you eat what you want, it does this. Glucose goes up, insulin goes up, glucose goes down. It's the happy days. Get to 30, 40, 50 if you're lucky. You have your bowl of cornflakes, glucose goes up, insulin levels goes up, and this is where the problem happens. Glucose doesn't go down as well as it should or could. Okay, so then alarm bells start ringing in the brain. That glucose needs to come down, it's going to kill you. So the body secretes more insulin to get the same amount of glucose down. This is where the problem lies. Why? If you haven't stopped the plug of carbohydrates coming in, then this happens. Glucose goes up, insulin goes up. High insulin levels is the road to nearly every single Western disease. What does it do? Any glucose that's not burnt off, excess sugar in your body gets converted to fats. And guess what? It goes in places we don't like. Any existing fat cells, insulin is a growth hormone. It causes it to grow, whether you like it or not. It's a hunger hormone. So even if we don't feel hungry, we eat. So it's a scenario where you had your breakfast at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you go for a snack and you don't know why. You have your lunch at 2, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you're going for a snack and you don't know why. You have no idea. You have your evening meal, your wife cooks you a beautiful, 3-course meal. At 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you want something to eat. It's constantly keeping you hungry. The higher the levels of insulin, and that's the road to diabetes, basically. The higher the levels of insulin, the more it stiffens your arteries, makes your blood pressure go up. Even Alzheimer's, it creates the creation and deposit of amyloid plaques in the brain that causes dementia and Alzheimer's. So you look at nearly every single women, polycystic ovarian syndrome and infertility, that's the road to it. You see? And this is where the problem lies. So the hack is, and this is why it's actually embarrassing when you come and give these talks. How do you get healthy from a dietary point of view? Very, very easy. Just do 2 things. Number 1, avoid ultra-processed foods. Avoid them completely. Takeouts, avoid them. Once in a while. And when I say once in a while, I don't mean once a week or once a month. Once in a while. Okay? They come out, when it's Eid, a party, wedding, someone's completed their hifz, halas, no problem. But it shouldn't be a regular thing. designed to ruin your body. And if anybody has a business, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to kill your business, but I'm a doctor, this is my job. The second thing is go low carb, not no carb, because that's impossible, go low carb. And the recipe is this. If you imagine a plate, half of it should be veg or salad, colorful stuff. But make sure it's organic and homegrown, free from chemicals, basically. That's half your plate. Then a significant portion should be protein. Think meat, fish, eggs. Okay? And then the smallest portion should be carbohydrate, or go brown. And then most people, when I get to this point, especially up there, they say to us, Dr. Saab, what do I eat? You told me I can't have rice, roti, aloo, pasta. What am I supposed to eat? I said, no, have them. But go brown. And make it your smallest portion. And instead of rice, you can probably buy this in Canada. You can get it in England, so you should be able to get it here. Cauliflower rice and broccoli rice, you can buy that. You can't buy it, make it yourself. Or just get veg and just fine chop it to make it look like rice. And if you're worried about roti, believe me, I'm Indian, Gujarati. It's a psychological thing. That's the only reason why we do it. Otherwise, we don't feel like maza nahi aata hai. But if you get like a green leafy vegetable and use that as your roti, kam ho gaya. Okay, you'll get used to it. Now watch this. Within 10 days of stopping ultra-processed foods, you will lose 2 kilograms of weight. Within 10 days of going on low carb, you will lose 1 kilogram in weight. Studies in England anyway show that after Ramadan, the weight of the Muslim goes up. What do? Suhoor, have suhoor. The Prophet ﷺ said so we do it. If the Rasul ﷺ tells us to do it, we just do it. There's no science here now. Because what he said is haq, barakah. Suhoor, have a good one, but go low carb. Maghrib, what do? This is what we do, right? In England, this is our Imam, he loves us. He gives us 10 minutes. And at the back of the masjid, it's like this, there's a foyer behind there, right? At the back of the masjid, everything comes out. Pizza, chicken wings, burgers, chips. My son, that's the only time he runs to the masjid. Gets first stuff. Gives us 10 minutes to eat. So they scoff themselves. Then they come home and mum or sister or wife has cooked. And if you don't eat, you're dead. Right? So and what comes out in our houses? Food that we've never seen before. For a whole year, we don't see this food. It only comes out in Ramadan. And this is a key message. Sisters, are the sisters here or they're at home? Okay. One wife. Okay. How many? One wife. Remember that. Okay. But if you don't eat, you're a dead man. So you have to eat. Then you have that crash, right? And you go, I gotta go Tarawih. 2 hours standing. There's loads of food left over. You put that in your mouth. After Tarawih, you see some of your boys outside. Hey, let's go get a burger. How many meals have you had in Ramadan? You've eaten 5 times in a day. That's not good, yani. You understand? Okay, so that's the equation. You just have your kajur, zamzam, pani, pray namaz, aram se pray your awabin. Whoever pray, and Mullah Ali Qari rahimullah, he used to say, if you just pray 2 sunan, 4 nafil, that makes 6. And you get the reward of awabin, which is 12 years of worship. Win-win situation. Just take your time. The food ain't going anywhere. You've lasted all this time. Another 10 minutes will be all right. And then when you eat, go low carb. Have more protein, more veg. But you don't need me. And I'll finish with this. You really don't need me. All we need to do, as my Hazrat Rahimullah Shaykh Yusuf Mutala used to say to us, you just need to turn your attention, your dil, your dimag to the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's it. Turn your full attention to him, because the answers will come. What was he like with food? Hazrat used to say to us that he had no tamanna for food. His average timetable, all night, Prophet average night, all night would be in Qiyamul Layl, making dua for you and I and our hidayat and hidayat for mankind. Once Aisha radiallahu anha said that I saw the Prophet tiba nafsahu, he was in a very good mood. So I asked him, Ya Rasulullah, ud'u make dua for me. So the Prophet said, Ya Aisha, Allah forgive your sins, your past, your present, your future, that what you did in secret and that what you did openly. When you get really, really happy and you laugh and you can't control your body. You've had that? You laugh so much you can't control your Aisha radiallahu anha, our mother Aisha, then she said, I got so happy, I couldn't control my movements. And she said, my head fell into my lap in laughter. And the Prophet said, yeah, I used to call her Aish. Yeah, Aish. Nickname. That's sunnah. Nickname your wife. Yeah, Aish. He said, that's making you happy. He said, how can it not make me happy? And the Messenger of Allah said, Ya Aish, inna hadha la da'wati li ummati fi kulli salah. That dua I make for my ummah after every salah. That's our Rasul. So So all night he'd be in Qiyam. Then he'd pray Fajr. After Fajr, he used to do obviously the Adhkar. Then he'd say, Hadra Hadam minkum ru'ya, anybody seen a dream? And then he'd interpret the dreams. Then the bachcha, the kids of Medina Munawwar would come with their buckets of water, and the Prophet ﷺ would dip his Mubarak hand inside, and they'd take it home for tabarruk and shifa and so forth. Then he'd see to the needs of people. Then he'd pray duha, which would take up to about 10, 11 o'clock our time. Then he'd go home. Most of the time he'd go home and he'd say, Alindakum shay. Now look at the wording. Have you got anything? Have you got anything to eat? Who has had that? None of us have had that. And the wives, akthar waqt, as we used to say, would say, Ma indana shay. We don't have anything. Nothing to eat. And then the Prophet ﷺ would say, Inni idhan lasa'im. Fine. Tabtu mera roza, I'm fasting. That's what you call a man. What would we do? قامت الدنيا وأقعدها. It's يوم القيامة. What do you mean no food? He had no tamanna for food. And then when it came to advice on eating, what did he say? Our Hazrat, he said to us, look, Prophet ﷺ said, بحسب ابن آدم ما ملأ ابن آدم وعاء شر من بطني. The Prophet ﷺ, so hadith in Tarbiyat Sharif, the Prophet ﷺ said that the son of Adam, he didn't say man, he didn't say mu'min, he said the son of Adam, which is humanity, cannot fill a vessel worse than his stomach. بحسب ابن آدم نقيمات. It's enough for the son of Adam to just have a few morsels. Shaykh Yusuf Muttar Rahimullah, he explained to us, he said, what does that mean? It's another riwayat is ukulat. But the narration of luqaymat, he said, what does that mean? So he explained to us, what it means is luqaymat is, luqma is morsel. Luqayma is small morsel. And the Prophet ﷺ used to eat hakada. It's impossible to overeat when you eat like this. So he said, luqaymat, small morsels, small morsels. And then Hazrat he said that it means, linguistically, 3 to 9 morsels. Linguistically. And then he said, that's why Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu wa radha used to only have 9 morsels of food when he ate. Yuqimna sulba, a function, to hold his back straight. What is that? What is the Prophet ﷺ telling us? He's telling us food is fuel, nothing else. We don't eat. The Sufis used to say, La na'kul lil-ladha. We don't eat because of lazzat. وَلَا نَلْبِسْ لِلتَّنَعُّمْ. We don't dress to impress. That's the way of the Sufi. So he said it's to serve a function. It's not for mazah. And then the Prophet said, فَإِنْ كَانَ لَا مَحَالَ لَا. If you can't do that, because that's difficult. That is difficult. If you can't do that, فَثُلُثُ لِلطَّعَامِ وَثُلُثُ لِلشَّرَابِ وَثُلُثُ لِلنَّفَسِ. 1/3 for food, 1/3 for liquid, and 1/3 for air. Now check this out. Imam Ghazali rahimahullah in his Ihya al-Muddin, he said that this is true, if you wanted to study medicine back in 1,000 years ago, you had to go to Baghdad. That was the medical center of learning. So a Christian student went to Baghdad to learn medicine. And he said, I read this hadith, and then he said, ما سمعت كلاما أعجب عن هذا عن قلة الطعام. I've not heard anything more astounding than this statement about how to reduce your food intake. It's a Christian medical student. Fast forward to 2020 when I started doing this work in England. One of my colleagues at work, she asked me, your Prophet talks about health. I said, of course he talks about health. What did he say? I told her this hadith. She nearly fell off a chair. And she said, if the world did amal, acted on this hadith of the third, she said, there'd be no one sick. No, dekho. These are 2 completely different people, both Christian, 2 completely different people, different echelons of generations, 1,000 years apart, and they see the genius of the Prophet ﷺ. Why can't we see it? Why is it that the last elements that we listen to is Allah and His Rasul ﷺ? You see, that was the way of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. So try it. If you try it, there's a few days left in Ramadan. If you try it, watch what happens. Your taqwa will build automatically. Your taqwa will build automatically. It's impossible to reach a state of taqwa on a full stomach. And these aren't my words. Aisha radiallahu anha, she said the first musibah after the Prophet ﷺ passed away was that people started eating to their fill. And when they started eating to their fill, they started putting on weight. And then she said, فَتَسَعَّبَتْ قُلُوبَهُمْ. Then their hearts became hard. وَجَمَعَتْ شَهَوَاتُهُمْ. And then their desires went wild. So we're in the month of taqwa, where we're in a state of vigilance, self-discipline, control, because we know that Allah has given us this life free. We got to go back to Him, and He's going to ask us, what did you do with that life that I gave you for free, that body that I gave you for free? It's very simple. We listen to our mother Aisha radiallahu anha. Don't want to let your desires go wild? Simple. Don't let your hearts go hard. Okay, how do you not let your hearts go hard? Simple. Don't put on excess weight. Okay, how do you do that? Don't eat to your fill. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu said, for 12 years I never ate to my fill. His student said, how is that even possible? Because I grew up with people who never ate to their fill. The Sahaba did not eat. They didn't have a timetable. They didn't have breakfast, lunch, evening meal. There was no timetable. Imam Shafi, he said, I didn't eat to my fill for 16 years. And he said, except once. And the day I ate to my fill, I vomited. I said, I discovered a few things as well. He said, one, my intellect disappeared. There's someone who memorized the Quran when he was 7 years old. He said, my intellect disappeared. His wisdom was lost. Because I slept a lot and my ibadah disappeared. This was a man who read 60 Qurans in Ramadan. Abu Hanifa, Rahimullah, Imam Shafi, Mashhur, 60 Qurans in Ramadan. Imam Bukhari, 56. Qatada radiallahu anhu, throughout the year, one Quran a week. You know the manzil, that you have the 7 portions? One Quran a week. Ramadan, first 20 days, he'd read every 3 nights, one Quran. In the last 10 nights, he'd read one Quran every night. This is our tradition. You see? So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for tawfiq. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe diet starts after Eid. Because if you start now and you got Eid, you should celebrate on Eid. It's a day of khushi. You should. Nothing wrong with that. But what my message I want to give to you is that if you just look at the way of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam with health, you can make it work, because there's a massive crisis of health currently, massive. But you can make it work if you just look at the way of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and incorporate it. And you do that, inshallah, watch, within 3 months you'll be where you want to be. And then your next Ramadan, inshallah, food won't even be a thing. It'll be like, this is wasting my time. I just want to engage with Allah. Food is nothing. And watch your health improve. Prophet ﷺ says, Sumu, tasihhu, fast, and let your health be in its element. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for tawfiq. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the last few hours that's left in Ramadan, Allah give us tawfiq to maximize it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our itikaf, ibadat, khairat. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more than anything else, don't let this month pass without being forgiven. Inshallah. Stop there, inshallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك.